Industrialization and Urbanization in the U.S. 1870s, 1920s. Introduction in 1865. The Civil War ended. America was battered, divided, and uncertain. Most people lived in small towns or on farms. Horses carried goods. Candles lit homes. The average American had never traveled more than 50 miles from where they were born. Yet within 50 years, everything would change. By the 1920s, America had become the world's leading industrial nation. Cities soared into the sky, factories produced at unimaginable scales, and millions of immigrants poured through Ellis Island to chase the American dream. This transformation, known as industrialization and urbanization, would forever redefine the United States. Chapter 1. The Railroad Revolution. The Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1869, stitched the nation together from coast to coast. By 1900, the U.S. had over 190,000 miles of railroad track, more than all of Europe combined. Trains meant coal and steel, demand exploded, towns sprang up along tracks, and goods moved faster than ever. The railroad itself became America's first big business, requiring huge capital investments, corporate structures, and thousands of workers. Workers included Civil War veterans, Irish immigrants, and Chinese laborers, who faced harsh racism and backbreaking labor. Chapter 2. Raw Power. Resources of a continent. Coal mines in Pennsylvania and West Virginia fueled steam engines and steel furnaces. Oil gushers in Pennsylvania and later Texas created fortunes, especially for John D. Rockefeller, who founded Standard Oil in 1870. By the 1880s, his company controlled over 90% of U.S. oil refining. The Midwest's iron ore fed the rise of Andrew Carnegie's steel empire, producing the beams and rails that built America's bridges and skyscrapers. Timber from the Northwest and copper from Montana fueled construction and electrification. Chapter 3. Invention and Innovation. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, phonograph, and motion picture camera. His electrical grids began powering homes and factories by the 1880s. Nikola Tesla pioneered alternating current, which allowed electricity to travel long distances. Alexander Graham Bell's telephone, 1876, shrank distances even further. In Detroit, Henry Ford introduced the assembly line in 1913, cutting the time to build a car from 12 hours to 90 minutes. His Model T, first sold in 1908, cost just $300 by the 1920s, affordable for average workers. Chapter 4. The Titans of Industry. Robber barons or captains of industry. John D. Rockefeller Oil, ruthless business tactics, but also massive philanthropy. Andrew Carnegie Steel, gospel of wealth philosophy. The rich should give back. Cornelius Vanderbilt Railroads, shipping-controlled transportation networks. J.P. Morgan Banking, consolidated industries, even bailed out the U.S. government during financial crises. These men built empires, but critics called them robber barons for exploiting workers and crushing competition. Chapter 5. The Rise of Cities between 1870 and 1920. The U.S. population more than doubled from 38 million to 106 million. By 1920, More Americans lived in cities than rural areas for the first time. New York's population exploded to over 5 million, while Chicago grew from 300,000 in 1872 over 2 million by 1910. Immigrants created ethnic neighborhoods: Italian Little Italy, Jewish Lower East Side, Chinese Chinatowns. Tenement housing was overcrowded, dark, and unsanitary. Jacob Riis's famous photographs in How the Other Half Lives 1890 shocked middle-class Americans with scenes of poverty. Yet cities also became centers of culture, entertainment, and opportunity, with department stores, vaudeville theaters, and electric lights illuminating the night. Chapter 6. Workers and strikes. Factory workers endured 12 to 16-hour days, 6 days a week, often for $1 to $2 per day. Children as young as 10 years old worked in textile mills and coal mines. Dangerous conditions led to accidents. Steel mills, railroads, and mines had some of the highest injury rates in the world. Unions grew. Knights of Labor, 1869, one of the first mass labor organizations. American Federation of Labor, 1886, under Samuel Gompers. Industrial Workers of the World, 1905, more radical, wanted worker control. Major strikes: Haymarket Riot, 1886, Chicago Rally for 80-hour day turned violent, leading to deaths and public backlash. Homestead Strike, 1892, Carnegie Steelworkers versus private security agents, bloody conflict. Pullman Strike, 1894, railroad strike spread nationwide, shut down transport, U.S. Army intervened. Chapter 7. The Progressive Era. Reforming America. Journalists like Upton Sinclair, author of The Jungle, 1906, exposed filthy conditions in meatpacking plants. The Pure Food and Drug Act and Meat Inspection Act soon followed. The Sherman Antitrust Act, 1890, and Clayton Antitrust Act, 1914, tried to break up monopolies. Settlement houses, like Jane Addams' Hull House in Chicago, provided education, childcare, and support for immigrants. Women fought for suffrage, winning the right to vote with the 19th Amendment in 1920. Leaders like Theodore Roosevelt championed the Square Deal, fighting trusts and promoting conservation. Chapter 8. America becomes a superpower. By 1900, the U.S. produced more steel than Britain and Germany combined. Factories churned out goods for both domestic and international markets. Urbanization created a new middle class of professionals, managers, and consumers. The U.S. flexed its industrial power on the world stage, building a modern navy, fighting the Spanish-American War, 1898, and beginning to shape global affairs. Conclusion: a nation transformed by the early 20th century. The United States had reinvented itself. Industrialization and urbanization brought incredible wealth, innovation, and global power, but also poverty, inequality, and unrest. The skyscrapers and railroads told a story of progress, while the tenements and sweatshops reminded the nation of its human cost. The legacy of this era remains today, in the labor protections we take for granted, in the diversity of our cities, in the technologies we use every day, and in the very idea of the American dream, The industrial age built modern America, for better and for worse. Asterisk. The story of America's industrial age is not just about machines, money, or skyscrapers. It is the story of people. Millions of immigrants leaving behind everything they knew, chasing a dream of a better life. Workers who toiled in dangerous mills and mines, who marched, organized, and sacrificed so that future generations could work with dignity. Innovators who lit up the night, connected the world with wires, and put wheels under a nation. And yes, tycoons whose fortunes shaped the destiny of cities and industries. For better and for worse, by 1920, America had been reborn. Its cities roared with the sounds of progress. Its factories hummed with power, and its people diverse, restless, and determined had built something the world had never seen before, an industrial giant. A modern nation, but the legacy of that transformation is not only in the steel bridges that still stand, or the railroads that once bound a continent. It lives in our daily lives, in the rights workers now enjoy, in the light bulbs above our heads, in the cars we drive, in the cities we call home. The struggles, the dreams, and the resilience of that era echo through every street of America today. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were more than a turning point. They were the birth of modern America, a nation forged in smoke and steel, in hope and hardship, and forever transformed. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Reflection on transformation in half a century. America traveled from wooden plows to steel skyscrapers, from lanterns to electric cities, from wagons to automobiles. The pace of change was breathtaking, a transformation that touched every corner of the nation and every life within it. The United States had not just changed, it had reinvented itself. Tribute to the people behind every invention, every mile of track, every beam of steel. There were hands, tired, calloused, and uncelebrated. Immigrants who crossed oceans with nothing but hope. Men, women, and children who worked endless hours in mills and mines. Families who endured the crowded tenements, the soot, the danger, the uncertainty. Their sacrifices built the foundation of modern America. The double legacy, industrialization and urbanization, brought extraordinary progress, but also deep inequalities. The mansions of the wealthy stood in sharp contrast to the slums of the poor. For every breakthrough, there was a struggle. For every triumph, a cost. This was the double legacy of America's industrial age: wealth and want, power and protest, innovation and injustice. Global power rising by the dawn of the 20th century. America's factories outproduced Europe's great empires. Its steel-built bridges across continents, its oil-fueled industries worldwide. Its railroads carried not only goods, but the very spirit of expansion. A nation once torn apart by civil war now stood ready to take its place as a world power, confident, ambitious, and unstoppable. Echo into the present, the echoes of this era remain with us today. In the rights workers now claim as normal, in the skyline of every city, in the very idea that technology can change lives overnight. The industrial age lives on in the lights that never go dark, in the machines that never stop, in the restless energy of America itself. This was the age that built America, and the age that America still carries within its soul, forged in fire, built on steel, carried by hope. This was the birth of modern America, from smoke and struggle. From dreams and determination, a new nation emerged, and the world would never be the same.